And okay, so you've had a couple of days to decompress from all that went down at the Olympic trials. Tell me about your experience from start to finish.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool experience to be a part of. I got to race against a lot of really amazing people, so that was definitely a cool thing to do. But yeah, I think I just learned a lot about different racing styles. That was definitely more of a strategic race than a fast race. I think our first mile was like a whole minute slower than the last mile. And so I think that I just came away with a lot of lessons about kind of learning to race flexibly and strategically. And yeah, not all races are going to look the same way.
Absolutely. It was a very interesting race to watch. So, what was your approach when you lined up, like going into it? What were you planning on doing? And then how did what you just said, the lessons that you learned of how the race went impact what you ended up doing down the stretch?
Yeah, so I think going into it, my plan was just to try to stick with the pack as much as possible. I kind of knew going in that it would probably be a little slower of a race just because kind of the way these races work with the qualifying rounds is the people who have a shot to really make it out of the final round want to conserve as much energy for the final so that they have fresh legs to do it. I didn't expect it to go out that slow for that long. And so I tried to cover that move when they made it, but I think in retrospect, I probably would have tried to make a move a little earlier. But, all good experiences and yeah, just grateful to have been a part of it.
Yeah, and what a 2 weeks that you had just from the Nike Outdoor Nationals to the Olympic trials. Just tell me what that 2 week span was like getting ready for it and having back to back races.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun 2 weeks. I got to meet a lot of really amazing people and see a lot of really cool places, but I think that there was a lot of uncertainty kind of going into it because we'd set up the season to where I would hopefully be peaking at that point and kind of dealing with the injury a little bit before state kind of set that back to where I didn't really know where I stood until I got in the middle of those races, but just getting to be a part of it and getting to have those experiences under my belt, I think is really exciting and hopefully can help me in the future.
Share with me a little bit more about the hamstring injury. I saw you at state. It was clearly bothering you. It didn't impact how you ended up performing. But what was your plan of action once you started getting closer to these races? How did you feel? What were you trying to do to put forth your best effort?
Yeah, so what we thought was a hamstring issue turned out being a stress reaction in my femur. So after state, I had to take about 3 weeks off of running and do my workouts at the gym or in the pool. And then I guess about 2 weeks before my first race back, I started incorporating a little running again, but still to kind of minimize the risk of letting it turn into something like a stress fracture. I was limited to about 10 miles a week. So there's definitely a lot of uncertainty going into it, just not having that mileage under my legs, but just did the best that we could to kind of work with the situation in front of us and get as much quality work in on the elliptical or in the pool as I could.
So the first competition, the Nike Outdoor Nationals, you placed second. Then at the Olympic trials, you placed 26, missing the cut, but still two great performances. How do you feel like you perform?
I think it's definitely disappointing knowing that I'm not where I was in February at this point in the season. But I think that at the end of the day, the biggest thing once you get to these races is just the experience itself. You work all season to kind of get to that point. And of course, it would be great to be able to perform at your highest level once you're on those bigger stages. But to even get there was just a great opportunity for me. So I'm super grateful to have been a part of it.
Do you feel like if you were at full health, you really had a shot to qualify? I know that's a tough to put yourself in that position. But I'm just curious, what you learned from that race and what you know about how the 5K goes. Do you think you really had a shot?
Um, Honestly, I don't think so. I think especially not with that style of racing. I've never really been super great in a kicker's race, and of course I could have gone out and raced it differently. I didn't have to sit back in the pack, and so that's something to take into account too. But I think that honestly, those are just some really amazing women, and I'm not at their level yet, and I wasn't even in my highest fitness, but it would have been nice to be able to put up a little bit stronger of a performance in general and just feel a little bit better in the race itself. But overall, just a great opportunity and probably didn't change much. So.
Did it set in at any moment when the race was about to start? You're on national TV, it's a national stage. Like, wow, I'm a high schooler, the only high schooler doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely really cool, and I felt kind of out of place in it because, again, I just wasn't really where I was at, and even in my best form, I kind of just barely snuck in there, due to a couple late scratches in the entries, and so yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking, and I definitely was worried that I was going to be kind of hanging on at the back. So yeah, to be able to be in the race and compete for even part of it was definitely cool, but yeah, definitely a great experience. So.
Absolutely. And a little bit more on that, you mentioned the couple of late scratches. What was your reaction when it happened, when you were officially going to be um, one of the individuals fighting for a chance to compete in the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely really cool and really exciting. I actually, on the initial list of entries, I was 31st, and it's a field of 30, but three girls ended up scratching when the declaration period opened, kind of getting me in that spot. But yeah, I mean, I was just really excited for the opportunity, especially because I had been hoping to get in one more 5K and try to get my time down at some point in the season, but I just was never really healthy enough to be able to do so before. So just to know that my injury hadn't set me back so much that I couldn't still come and compete was really amazing.
So this officially wraps up your sophomore season per se. You win 3 medals at state, 1 gold, and then having the chance to compete in the Olympic trials. Tell me how you feel about all of those things and more that you were able to accomplish as a sophomore. How does it feel?
Yeah, it was definitely a great season and full of a lot of great lessons, and I got to meet a lot of great people along the way, but I'm really excited to get back into cross country. That's my favorite part of the year, so I'm looking forward to new team, new coach, and kind of just building back.
Awesome. You've had time to reflect. You say that it was so great, but in the time that you've been able to look back and reflect, just share more about that. Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel like this is just the beginning of your story? Do you feel like you've just learned a lot? What's your takeaway from it all?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've learned a lot throughout the season. Learned about kind of how necessary, I guess, a break is between the cross country and track season to kind of make sure that you do prevent those kinds of injuries and stuff. But I learned a lot about different ways of racing and just about racing at different stages of the season and against different competition, how it's going to vary. So I think that I've just learned a lot about racing competitively and, having to be adjustable. And yeah, so.
You mentioned all of the amazing people that you got to talk to and interact with and learn from. Can you share with me what some of those conversations were like? Did you get any advice from some of the other distance runners or maybe past Olympians or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that just they're all very supportive. I think that all the women out there just want to see the sport grow. And so they're very supportive of especially the younger generation in the sport. I was standing next to Elise Cranny on the line. She's amazing. She's an Olympian, and I've really looked up to her for a long time. And, she wished me good luck and gave me a high five and a hug on the line. So, I think they're just some great people with some good sportsmanship. And I think we all just want to see the sport grow, but of course, be out there and compete as well. So, definitely a lot to look up to and learn from.
The whole San Antonio, greater San Antonio area has been right on your side, supporting you along the way. How does it feel to have this support back at your hometown?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think my support system really contributes to my success, and I just really appreciate all of it. I heard about the watch parties happening while I was out there competing, and I didn't know about that in advance, which is probably for the best, but I really appreciate all the support, and I think it makes all the difference. So.
So your focus is on the upcoming cross country season, entering your junior year at Boerne Champion. Anything else that you're working towards or looking forward to as you embark on your upperclassmen years in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I think just continuing to compete and hopefully go to some different meets that I didn't get to go to this year. The UIL schedule made it hard to go to some of those bigger out of state meets during the track season, but hopefully I can get into a couple more of those this coming year. And yeah, I'm just really excited for cross country. The team makes it just such a great sport. And so I'm excited for the new team and just being able to work with those girls, and hopefully they'll develop the kind of love for it I have. So,
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much. So any other plans this summer that you're going to be doing?
yeah, I'm going back to Oregon for the Nike program camp in a couple of weeks. But outside of that, I think we'll just kind of celebrate the 4th of July as a family, maybe have a couple friends over, which should be fun. But yeah, other than that, just kind of getting back to work and hanging out with friends and family. So.
I'm sure your family has been very supportive and excited for you in this process. Was it special being there with your mom and whoever else was there with you, coach?
Yeah, it was awesome. Both my parents stayed for we were in Oregon for like 2 weeks because of it. We didn't find out that I had made it in until I want to say a week before the trials. So yeah, they kind of all just dropped their plans and adjusted their schedules to be able to be there for me. I know that that was complicated for them because they were missing a lot of work for it, but you know, they made do and did it on their computer so that I'd have that kind of support system backing me. So I really appreciate it, and I couldn't have done it without them. So.
That's beautiful. Awesome. Well, congratulations again. It was so awesome watching you on that stage, and you really killed it and made Boerne and beyond very proud of you. So, congratulations. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Of course. It was good talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm sure we'll talk plenty more in your upcoming junior year. So, I appreciate you taking the time and have a great summer.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Summer. Bye.